Middle Eastern categories in the ethnicity or race section. That board is supposed to meet again in June of next month, where it will consider those potential changes before they make them to the FBI director. But it would be my strong recommendation that the form be modified so that it captures Sikh and anti-Muslim, anti-Middle Eastern violence.
That's Eric Holder testifying on Capitol Hill. And by the way, I cannot remember the first name of the woman, the kind woman in Houston that sent me that letter this week complaining that I had played a Sheila Jackson Lee soundbite without warning. And I don't know if it caused her to spill her coffee, to upchuck in her car, but she was not happy with me. She said that ought to come with a content warning. And I was joking around that what we're going to do for our next share-a-thon is we're going to send out air sickness bags to all of our friends, and then we will issue some broadcast advisory that we are about to play a Sheila Jackson Lee clip. Please grab your air sickness bag and be sure that your seatbelt is buckled and that your tray tables and seat backs are in the upright position. And I just want to let that individual know in Houston, look, Sheila Jackson Lee was just questioning Eric Holder, and for your benefit, for your sake, because I care about my listening audience, we didn't play any of that audio of Sheila Jackson Lee because I know you just had your car detailed and we don't want you to have to turn right around and do that again. Well, let's grab a couple of phone calls. Let's go to Donna in Oregon. Donna, welcome to Focal Point with Brian Fisher. What's on your mind?
Thank you, Brian. I just love all your information, but I study myself, and if we're connecting fires with all this stuff, why doesn't some senator or someone get into the stockpiling of millions of rounds of ammunition that the IRS is doing and the Homeland Security?
Mm-hmm.
And second year of President Obama's administration, he was talking about civilian militia, and it got quieted all of a sudden. Doesn't come up much anymore, along with the word plantation way back then.
Yeah. Well, you know, and we've talked about that frequently here on this program, Donna, that, you know, we know that the Department of Homeland Security, the latest information I've seen is 1.6 billion rounds of ammunition. They have 1,000 rounds more per personnel than the military does. Those that work and are going to be bearing arms for the Department of Homeland Security, they have 1,000 more rounds per person than our soldiers in the military have. And we've talked about this before. Those rounds, hollow points, you can't use those in warfare. So the only possible target for that ammunition that the Department of Homeland Security is stockpiling is us. I mean, the only people they could be shooting at legally with that ammunition is fellow American citizens. We brought you that story. They've got 2,700 light armored vehicles, tanks, that they have purchased. Department of Homeland Security, Jesse Jackson out there saying we need to have them patrolling the streets of Chicago. So under this president, I mean, it's not far-fetched to think that we are going to have a time coming when you will have federalized law enforcement patrolling the streets of our city. So that's a good question, Don. It's a great observation. We haven't talked about that in a while. I did play the soundbite from Senator Inhofe from Oklahoma, and he said he believes that what the Department of Homeland Security is trying to disarm the American people by buying up all the ammo. I mean, I went shooting with some friends on Saturday. Debbie, my wife, fired a pistol for the first time since she was in junior high school, and it was a crack up. I took a video of her firing that gun, and the look on her face was just priceless. But anyway, we went shooting with some friends, and everybody was talking about how tough it is to get ammo these days. And Senator Inhofe saying, look, the whole reason that the Department of Homeland Security is doing this is that they're basically trying to disarm the American people by buying up all the ammo. And let's grab that clip. I want to cycle back to this. Rob, grab a clip. It's the Obama clip that I never got to play. I talked about it. Clip 17. If you can find the Obama Mexico clip 17 soundbite. I've had this in the tank for a couple of weeks now, but this was President Obama when he was down in Mexico. And in this clip, I want you to listen to whom he blames for the violence in Mexico. And the backstory here, do not forget that Operation Fast and Furious, he was responsible, his administration, he was responsible for getting 2,000 untraceable guns into Mexico in the hands of the drug cartel. They lost track of 1,500 of the 2,000 guns. There's at least 1,500 AR-15s and other weapons like that are down in Mexico. We have no idea who got them. They have been found at the crime scene of numerous murders and homicides and other crimes down there. So if anybody's responsible for gun violence in Mexico, it's the guy that's talking. And then I want you to hear what he says at the end when he talks about who he's going to try to keep guns out of the hands of. I talked about this a couple weeks ago. Want to revisit it in light of this last phone call. Let's listen. President Obama down in Mexico 2 weeks ago.
And we also recognize that most of the guns used to commit violence here in Mexico come from the United States.
Yeah, from you.
I think many of you know that in America our Constitution guarantees our individual right to bear arms. And as president, I swore an oath to uphold that right, and I always will. But at the same time, as I've said in the United States, I will continue to do everything in my power to pass common sense reforms that keep guns out of the hands of criminals and dangerous people that can save lives here in Mexico and back home in the United States. It's the right thing to do.
Again, I talked about this, so I'm not going to belabor it, but he says, look, it's my job to keep guns out of the hands of criminals and dangerous people. I want you to think about that for a second. If somebody is dangerous, my job is not even to let them have a gun in the first place. Now, we all agree on the criminal part. Well, unless I think if somebody commits a crime with a gun, then they have forfeited their Second Amendment right to own a gun. They've forfeited. Nobody's taken it away. They kicked it away by using the gun in the commission of a felony. So that's it. You lose your right to own a gun. But nobody's taken it from you. You're the one that's responsible for that. You forfeited it by criminal conduct. But Obama's going beyond that and saying not just criminals, not just people that have committed crimes and therefore forfeited their right to keep and bear arms. I'm going to keep the hands out of dangerous people. And again, you heard him with words from his own lips. Well, again, the key issue there is who gets to define who's dangerous. Well, he's the one that gets to define who's dangerous because that's my job. I got to keep the guns out of the hands of dangerous people. I'm the one, therefore, that gets to decide who dangerous people are. And we've already seen with his military that they have consistently over and over again classified evangelical Christians as dangerous people. We are a threat to national security. We are domestic hate groups. We are, that list for Army Reserve recruits, that training material that had a slideshow. Here are all of the extremist groups we got to worry about in the United States. Number one, evangelical Christians, right there on the top, up there ahead of Hamas and Hezbollah. So this is official training for members of the U.S. Army Reserve, and they're told the number one extremist organization or threat in the United States is evangelical Christians. So President Obama, his military, has identified us as dangerous people. And he's telling Mexico, my job is to keep guns out of the hands of dangerous people. A short step from there to disarming you if you are a believer in Jesus Christ. Now, again, I'm just connecting the dots. I'm not the one that said it. I'm not the one that said I got to keep the guns out of dangerous people's hands. I'm not the one that said evangelical Christians are a threat, dangerous people. That's the Obama administration, President Obama and his military. Let's go to Ray, Tampa, Florida. Ray, welcome to Focal Point. Welcome, and what's on your mind? Ray, are you with me? Okay, Ray, do we have you? I guess we're going to have to move on from Ray in Tampa, Florida. Sorry about that, Ray. Let's grab a couple of sound bites if we can. Let's go to clip number one, Rob, the Jay Carney clip, and have that audio backup there available, Jeff. And remember, the IRS, they have admitted to doing this. There isn't any question now that the IRS was engaged in misconduct. They admitted that they did it. And they've apologized. They said we were wrong. It was inappropriate. We shouldn't have done it. We now know that the number is up to over 500, almost 500 organizations, 471. at last count, including a pro-life organization in Iowa that got all gummed up. We know the Billy Graham Evangelistic Association got audited after Billy Graham came out and endorsed natural marriage. So there's no question. This doesn't need to be a matter of investigation. We know that they're guilty because they admitted it. Now, with that as a backstory, listen to this soundbite from Jay Carney yesterday.
We have not seen the report. We have not, independently collected information about what transpired. We need the Independent Inspector General's report to be released before we can make judgments. One person's view of what actions were taken or what that individual did is not enough for us to say something concretely happened that was inappropriate.
Maybe I should just pack up and go home.
I mean, this is amazing to me. Jay Carney saying we don't know. We don't have enough information to say that something happened that was inappropriate. Criminally, the head of the IRS has admitted to it, has confessed to it. What we did was wrong. We went after people based on political ideology, so I have no idea. Now, here again, this is clip number 2. And this, again, is an indication of how far out of favor the Obama administration has fallen. And Jay Carney completely flailing around here. He's done for the last 2 days, just completely in over his head, doesn't know how to spin this thing. And this is Jessica Yellen from CNN. These are the big cheerleaders for Obama. And here is a reporter from CNN pressing in on Jay Carney, the spokesman for Barack the Benevolent.
Jay, you say check our history, rapid commentary, but you have to understand and hear how it sounds like the administration might be hiding something. So can we take these one at a time? On the IRS on Friday, they gave one version of the story that's changed several times since then. So can you just say plainly, does the president believe that they're being truthful, and does he think that the leadership there needs to change?
Well, I don't understand how that tracks with your first sentence about assertion here. We have seen the reports, as the president said, and if the reports are true, he would consider them outrageous.
Maybe I should just pack up and go home.
You believe that? If the reports are true, he would consider them outrageous. Well, we know there's no if here. We know that they're true because the IRS admitted it. That's not the conclusion of some investigator or some court or some judge. That's the IRS saying, yeah, we improperly audited people based on their ideology. Shame on us. Focal Point AFR Talk back in 2.